but that fears we're now going to shift. Now, Qatar is saying that its representative Ali Al Thawadi is part of the US-backed Gaza Executive Board to support international efforts for effective governance and long-term peace in Gaza. Thawadi, a key figure in Qatar's mediation efforts, has engaged with Israel, Hamas and other partners and played a role in Trump's 20-point Gaza plan. Israel publicly criticized the board's composition, particularly the involvement of Thawadi and Turkey's foreign minister. Prime Minister Netanyahu is holding cabinet and security meetings today, reportedly in response to the board's formation, with Iran also on the agenda. I now have Mohammed Osman, who is international relations expert from Cairo, joining me in this discussion.
Thank you for having me, Kriti.
Thanks very much, Osman, for joining me. Firstly, let's talk about the fact that there is no Palestinian in this group. There's no woman in this group. It's a male-dominated, American-dominated group that Trump has put forward.
Yeah, it's quite amusing because right now we have three institutions that have been established for the future governance of Gaza, starting with the Board of Peace, led by President Trump, and this executive board that will aid the Palestinian National Committee, Transitional Committee, in its administration of Gaza. And then you have the Palestinian National Administrative Committee led by Dr. Ali which include one woman. So one woman in three of the councils, unfortunately. But despite the lack of gender representation, gender fair or gender just representation in these councils, this is not really the primary concern at this point. The primary concern is the viability of these institutions and their ability to actually push forward the peace agenda in Gaza and push forward the agenda of early recovery and reconstruction, because it seems that Israel has given signals already with its public statements that it's not going to play game, that it's not going to be cooperative and flexible to the extent which allows these institutions to actually push the Trump plan forward. And this will require, of course, more pressure from the United States on the Israeli side so that they would cooperate and comply with their obligations under the Trump peace plan and the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. However, at the same time, we have seen reports from the Israeli media that indicate that Prime Minister Netanyahu's criticism of these committees and these governing structures is not really that genuine as one might think. It has been reported that the Israelis and the Israeli government, and Prime Minister Netanyahu in particular, was informed and briefed with these developments, and that he is taking these public stances at the moment in order to appease the right-wing elements in his government, especially the likes of Ben Gvir and Smotrich in his cabinet at this point, to prevent a collapse of his ruling coalition. However, at the same time, this might indicate that the Israelis might allow or at least partially be flexible with these governing structures, even though I do have my doubts. On the ground, the Israelis are expanding the yellow line, occupying more land, resuming the killing every day. Almost every day, there are strikes and violations of the ceasefire that lead to fatalities among civilians. Since the ceasefire went into effect about 3 months ago, over 500 Palestinians, most of them civilians, have died in Israeli attacks. So this hardly sounds like a textbook ceasefire to me. The Israelis have a very demented definition of a ceasefire, where one side gets to shoot and advance and change the front lines and the areas of control. I think we will have to wait and see whether the National Committee will be allowed into Gaza to govern. Right now they are in Egypt. They are supposed to move in the near future into Gaza. Hamas has expressed its will to hand over power in the areas of controls to the National Committee. Is Hamas also being genuine and completely cooperative? This also stands to or remains to be seen in the very near future, Kriti.
All right, sure. Do you also see this Board of Peace now turning into a Trump versus Netanyahu battle after Israel's objection to the members of the board, especially when these two have been the strongest allies that the world have known?
Well, let's not kid ourselves. I don't think that because battles have to happen between peers, between equals. Netanyahu and Trump are not equals. The United States is the patron of Israel, and Netanyahu understands that very well. He will never drag himself or drag his country into a squabble or a confrontation with the United States, especially with the existence of a president with the temperament of Donald Trump. I think he understands that very well. However, Netanyahu is very skilled in manipulating President Trump and getting his way around eventually. And let's not forget, Netanyahu is being more flexible in Gaza, or as allowing these structures to developments to take place, and being at least cooperative behind the scenes with the Americans in exchange for possible military action against Hezbollah in Lebanon, and also possibly a new conflict with Iran, as we have discussed this previously, and we see with the current developments in the region. So it's not that simple. Netanyahu will not just risk all of this in order for to embarrass Trump in his bid to at least project the illusion that he is advancing the peace agenda forward in Gaza. And the Israelis can obstruct the implementation of these plans and the Trump plan on the ground in a very subtle manner that will not provoke the Americans. And we have seen how the Americans have dealt with 3 months of Israeli violations. The first phase of the agreement was implemented in a very distorted way. Only the Palestinian side honored their commitments. The Israelis largely ignored and violated most of their commitments under the agreement. And as you can see, Kriti, I believe that the second phase will witness very similar trends to the first phase, a very distorted implementation that will be void of any actual meaning that will serve the beleaguered people of Palestine and Gaza.
All right, Shara. Osman requested to stay on with us as we proceed now. We're going to cover